Good evening, everyone. The Herald Sport team here in Cologne, bringing you a live reaction to the Scotland versus Switzerland team news. Obviously, match day 2 in Group A for Scotland at Euro 2024. Certainly a must not lose, if not almost a must win for Scotland. Germany are through, having just defeated Hungary 2-0 in the other game. You can see the teams running below on your screen, but I'll read them both out anyway at the moment. So Scotland make 2 changes from the team that lost pretty emphatically on match day 1. That's Angus Gunn in goals, a back 3 of Jack Hendry, Grant Hanley, who comes in obviously for the suspended Ryan Porteous, and Kieran Tierney, Anthony Ralston, Scott McTominay, Billy Gilmour and Andy Robertson across the midfield 4, with Callum McGregor and John McGinn. Presumably McGregor will be slightly deeper than McTominay, who will be higher, playing off of Che Adams. Switzerland make 1 change, a bit of a surprise, given that it was Dua who scored the opening goal for them in their win over Hungary. They go with Jan Sommer in goals, a back 3 of Schär, Akanji and Rodriguez. Obitzer starts on the left, but be prepared to see him maybe pick up some different positions. Freuler and Jacket in the middle, with Vidmar at right wing back. Sherdan Shaqiri returns to the starting 11. He is the 1 change that is made by Murat Yakin. Vargas and Ndoye make up the attacking complement. Johnny, Billy Gilmour was always going to have to come into the Scotland team. Grant Hanley was the most likely in midfield as well. What was your reaction to the team news? No real surprise in what Steve Clarke's done there?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely what you're going to expect from Steve Clarke. He's not a guy that's going to make radical changes at this stage. And he's probably right not to make radical changes, Josh. This is a Scotland team that he's got to this point, that he's managed to get to these championships with a style, with a type of football. And you're not going to rip that up on the back of a defeat to Germany. Germany can give anyone a spanking on their day, we know that. So, I'm just really happy that Billy Gilmour's in this side. Since I was a little kid, I heard always this one thing about international football, and I think it's absolutely spot on, Josh, which is that international football is about taking care of the football. And if you've got a guy like Billy Gilmour, who's absolutely terrific at taking care of the football, you want him in the squad and in the team, more importantly, to try and dictate games. You know, we know he's a big game player. He came through at Chelsea. Not many young Scottish talents come through and break into our Chelsea side. And he did that through personality, imposed his personality. His first game as a professional, where he came onto the scene in an explosive fashion, was against Liverpool, against Fabinho, one of the best midfielders in the world, certainly in the Premier League at that time. And he gave him a schooling that night. It was incredible to see. Billy Gilmour can step up on the big stage, is the point I'm trying to make. And I fully expect him to have a good performance tonight and help Scotland do that one thing that we had we showed no ability to do, which was control the tempo of that game against Germany. Now listen, easy for me sitting here to say that. I know that Germany are top quality. But against Switzerland, you've got more of a chance to do that. And who better to give you that chance than having Billy Gilmour in there, in that engine room, keeping things ticking over.
Yeah, you can probably hear some fans behind us. The atmosphere, it kind of, if you've not seen pictures of the Cologne Stadium, it was described to me as a bigger time capsule because the fans are so close to the pitch. So expect there to be a fantastic atmosphere in here. Not that is not already the case. Let's talk about, before the Switzerland team, what needs to be different for Scotland, Johnny, because it is 9 of the 11 players who are picked to face Germany. The predominant thing for me is that they need to keep the ball, because only by keeping the ball can they get up the pitch and get their attacking players. Their best attacking players quite often are their 2 left backs. Get them into areas where they can run behind. We saw it as recently, I guess, as a friendly with Finland when Andy Robertson, it was him getting onto the last line that allowed Scotland to break the deadlock, albeit with an own goal on that occasion. Gilmour coming in, it had to happen because of how bad that midfield performance was. But you'd hope that it would be one of the key differences. One of the areas where Scotland are going to have to compete with Switzerland tonight is in the middle of the park. Is where they're strongest as they come out here.
Oh, it's loud.
Yeah, very loud. As they approach, what was I saying? Yeah, the midfield needs to be better, doesn't it? But overall, what else, apart from keeping the ball, what else Will Clarke been working on the last few days?
Listen, this is going to become like a meme because it's like me coming on to tell you that they need to have aggression and you know, all your daft stuff that I bore you with and you roll your eyes at. The fact is, they never got near Germany. They never got close enough to them. Toni Kroos had 99% pass accuracy. You can't allow that to happen in international football. You have to show a bit of aggression, a bit of gumption in terms of getting in people's faces. It sounds incredibly archaic, but the truth is, it's absolutely what Scotland need to do here. They need to get into Switzerland and make life difficult for them, at the very least, and then start to play their football. We didn't do that against Germany. Fundamentally, it is difficult to do that against someone like Toni Kroos. We know that. Getting close to him is hard. That's why he's got 6 Champions League medals. But in this one, there is no one that's on that level. You know, Granit Xhaka is a good player. There's no doubt about that. He's had a phenomenal season at Leverkusen. I actually think that the one for me in this game that's going to be absolutely massive is making sure they shut down Vargas and Shaqiri in those pockets of space. And we know Abisher as well, in terms of on the left side, is going to drop into the centre and almost give you that 3-man number 10 situation that Germany had, give them overloads in those areas. It's imperative to me that Gilmour, McGregor in particular, are more switched on to that kind of movement, or they could have some serious joy, because there was a massive gap between the midfield and the defence in the last game for Scotland. They can't allow that to happen again. We've got to be more tactically astute, and we've got to be more understanding of the way top-level elite players play in terms of finding space in pockets and absolutely devastating you when they get the opportunity to find the pass. They will find it. It's not the Scottish Premiership, and that's where Scotland have to be a lot more switched on. But also, listen, going forward, Shea Adams, we can't criticise him, because at the end of the day in the Germany game, he was given absolutely zero opportunity, zero service. The guy was totally unfortunate in terms of what he was given to work with. He was given nothing. So in terms of going forward, we have to make a better stab at creating things. And that situation where we have 0.01 XG that comes from an own goal, that can't happen again. Scotland need to get pepper in the box with shots. We need to get Scott McTominay high up, racing in as he does, galloping in as he does, and getting on the end of those balls with third-man runs. If we can do that, then I think we'll start to see a much improved Scotland performance. But listen, there's big pressure on these guys. If we look at that 4-man midfield, Gilmour, McGregor, and in particular McTominay and McGinn, because they're probably going to be in the further forward roles. These are guys that play for terrific club sides. They're playing at the top level. Only McGregor's not playing in the Premier League. And McGregor's the captain of Celtic and is one of the most decorated players in Scottish football history. And we know he's a really good player. But we need to see those guys step up, stand tall, and show what they're capable of. And not just let the game run past them, which is what happened in the last one. This is a massive opportunity, make no mistake. Steve Clarke will be heavily, heavily criticised if they don't get a win here or a draw. Because ultimately, you know, I don't think I've ever seen a group that was more winnable, that was more qualifiable than this for Scotland. That's just fundamental, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Clark was asked last night, and we touched upon it in the podcast last night. He was asked, is this the biggest game of his managerial career? And as you'd expect him to do, he is not the type of figure to put added pressure. He wants to shut down noise instead of creating it. But he said, look, that's a question that I'll answer when my career is over. I think it is, because, you know, that you can look back and say that the Serbia game broke that long unwanted record and got Scotland to major championships. And it is true. But now Scotland are here. They're at another major championships, aren't they? And therefore, this becomes really legacy defining as now the Swiss team come out. Just finally, Johnny, as we close, we watched the Switzerland-Hungary game last Saturday. It's a bit demoralising after Scotland's performance to see that Switzerland were actually quite good. You sat in the press conference as well yesterday. What have you made of them briefly, and not really only their confidence levels, they know how to get out of a group. What did you make of their performance and how they might set up tonight?
Yeah, I thought they were pretty good for most of the match. There was obviously a spell when Hungary came into it and showed that they're a capable side. I think, again, on Hungary, Josh, I thought today at times they certainly made a much better fist of Germany than we did. So if anyone's thinking that you go into that last game and it's going to be a scoosh against Hungary, that's not the case. That's going to be a very, very difficult game. But you look at the Swiss squad and on paper you think, is this a squad of players who's been there, who's done it, who's qualified in the past, who's routinely pretty good, but is on the turn slightly. These players in there that are maybe just getting past their best, maybe one tournament too far, and then you saw them perform against Hungary, and they didn't look like that at all. And they've got a lot of young players. You look at someone like Akanji at the back, who is absolutely top draw for me, Josh. You don't play at Manchester City if you don't have levels, and he's got levels to give still. Pacey, athletic. We'll struggle to get any change out of him. That's just a fact. Then you look into the midfield, and you know that you've got players in there that can control the tempo of a game, particularly Zaha, who's been absolutely outstanding by all accounts for Bayer Leverkusen this season, during what has been an incredible run in the German Championship and even in the Europa League. So it's going to be really difficult, but we were saying it would be really difficult against Germany, and a lot of people thought Scotland had an opportunity to get some sort of result. I didn't, but this one I do believe that it's not such a marked gap. I think Scotland are underdogs, but they can get much closer to this Switzerland side. Where I worry, Josh, is on the break. If Scotland do push up, Switzerland, especially in Doy up front, is no slouch, and they've got pace on the bench as well, pace and power that can come in. Pace and power that, let's be honest, we're probably a bit lacking once you take that right side out of the team. I think we've discussed it in terms of the damage that that's done to Scotland. I think Patterson and Hickey, taking the two of them out, it just leaves Scotland so lopsided and means that teams can focus down that left channel and say to Scotland, well, put the ball over the other side, make the switch of play. We know that you're not going to be as dangerous down there. And, you know, like, listen, Nathan Patterson has had his critics, and at Everton, I don't think it's worked out for him, the move. But at the same time, he's a guy that if he's got space in front of him, he'll penetrate into it. And I don't think Tony Ralston, that's really his natural game. I think it's one thing doing it at Celtic when you're surrounded by great players who are better than probably almost every other team in the league, and certainly over the last couple of seasons better than every team in the league. And then coming to Scotland and you're going up against top quality left-sided players. So I think that's been really unfortunate for Steve Clarke, and has been a major problem, because any international side at a country the size of ours, if you're talking about a position where your number one and your number two pick are both injured, it's going to be difficult.
Agreed. Right, we're going to leave it there. The teams are continuing to warm up. We'll be live at some point, I think right after the game, to dissect what will hopefully be a memorable night for Scotland. There is the jeopardy if they don't get a result tonight, but there is also the potential for it to be a very famous night here in Cologne. Let's hope it's the latter. Keep up to date with us on social media throughout the game. Until then, thanks for joining us, and we'll speak to you after full time. Bye for now.